How's it going, team? This is the Brown Man, and today we're going to do a quick rundown of the tier list that I have for survivors in Evil Dead the game before the update comes out. So the season pass is starting soon. As we know, Mia Allen, potentially some other survivors, hopefully Chet, is coming to Evil Dead. There might be some perk and stat balances as well. And of course, we're having the Plague Bringer join us as a free demon, and there will most likely be a season pass demon. So I'm thinking there's going to be a free survivor as well, and a season pass survivor. And I'm hoping the free survivor will be Chet Zeminski. Yeah, Zeminski, I believe is right. Yeah, Zeminski, I think. I'm like Jablinski. Who is that? I'm like, oh, that's Jack Black. Yeah, got it. Jablinski Gaming. Okay, so let's get into it. I don't use like, for example, D to S class. That's not how I look at these. All these characters are viable. I just go from low, mid, and high. And there are some people who are higher in the middle ground tier. There's some people who are higher of the higher tier, and some people who are obviously lower of the lower tier. But that's typically how I think about these characters, because no one's truly garbage in this game. There is no true garbage character. Everyone, when played well, can add something to the team. Some people just add way more to the team than others. So we're actually going to start with the lower tier. And of course, oh my god, whew. It sucks, man. It sucks. Arthur is a weird character. He's a weird dude. He's very straightforward, but weird in terms of what he brings compared to what other leaders bring. He's like on the cusp of middle tier. That's what I'm saying. Like, nobody's really garbage in this game. He's a leader, so he has an aura. His aura does more damage with the active, does more damage with heavier attacks with the passive, more damage with light attacks with the passive, and can increase his longevity of active damage boost. And of course, he buffs himself more when he has a sword, when he activates his active, but he does buff himself. The only thing about it is that damage is only useful against someone like a Henrietta, because Henrietta at the book, when you have the 5 invests in, cannot be stunned. The units cannot be stunned when you have a higher max level Henrietta with the really bad influence. So on the book, he's pretty useful. I'm not gonna front, he's useful on the book, but he's not as useful throughout the match as the other leaders. So that's why he falls on this scale. And because normally people actually have enough damage in terms of melee. Rather, melee is one of those damages that you're going to be 1 or 2 shotting units anyway, even uninvested. I run, for example, a tank Henry. I'm still 1 or 2 shotting units, not possessed units, of course, but just basic units, because they're actually not that tanky unless you go into the elites. The elites can take more damage, but of course the scaling truly shines with possessed units. And melee isn't bad, but when you're exchanging blows with something and you're not stunning them, then you're taking damage as well, and that means you're gonna have to drip feed resources eventually. So he's not the most economic character. And of course, next we have Scotty. Scotty is actually, once again, nobody's truly just unusable in this game, but Scotty offers the least. I think some of his stuff needs buffs. So his Thunder Thrust is active. You activate it, boom, 150 damage. Oh my god, it's just, why? They need to increase the damage or decrease the cooldown, something, because Army of Darkness Ash has pretty much the same ability with no cooldown. It's they need to do something with this guy. Collateral damage. Once again, the damage spread is not bad. He spreads damage. You hit something, the impact radius is 9.8 feet, and 13% of the damage that you do is spread to other enemies of the targets. Exposure therapy, your fear is recovered by 5 for every kill that you get, which isn't bad because a lot of people don't really realize how much 5 fear is, especially when you're killing things really fast. But of course, you might want to go into fear no evil, though that takes a lot of damage. Just to solo a point if a demon is on you, but of course most people don't solo points because a demon dash at times will push you over the edge quicker than exposure therapy will allow. So maybe if they bumped it up to 10 recovered by kill, or even if they go up by 8, it should do a lot better. And then that would be interesting. It'll be an anti-fear damage warrior, which can contest points because of his DPS output, along with the fear reduction, allows him to murder units. He is useful once again because of the dismemberment, right? You have the quicker attack speed with the lumberjacks, you do the extra dismemberment, then you have the higher attack speed, and it goes quite crazy. And because you have the higher dismemberment, you actually reduce damage to yourself and to your team because they don't do much damage. So he has some mitigation indirectly, even on a full damage build, thanks to, well, mostly damage build thanks to dismemberment. And dismemberment is also good for example, protecting the book. Damage is also good for protecting the book. And once again, when there's a Henrietta on the book, you can't really stun them, so you have to DPS out the Henrietta units. Now going into more so the middle tier, we have, of course, pretty much every hunter is going to be here. Just because of the damage and the DPS that they bring. But let's break it down just a little bit. Ed is nice. I won't say he's god tier, but by increasing the rate of, or the rarity of chests, is not consistent, obviously, but by having having the odds of increasing the rarity of chests, you get pick Fs faster, you get stronger weapons faster, and that's good. Crossbow mastery isn't bad. They reduced it from 20% to 10%. I wish they added the values. They really should. This game needs some more transparency, not just with DLC, but with the some of the actual perks themselves. I think a lot of y'all can agree with me on that. And that's it. He can put out damage. His main weapon, he reloads faster, has the last chance buff. But they scaled a lot of these guns and a lot of these stuff down. But of course, it's nothing that's absolutely necessary. It's nice, but some of the stuff is situational and may or may not help. It's not as inconsistent. It's not as consistent as I like it to be, and it'll be broken if it really was consistent. Kelly is not bad as a hunter, a good entry level hunter. You can go mixed like this, or you can go all into gun damage. Actually, really quickly. Of course, I have to go over his active real quick. I actually went past it. But being able to disable traps robs demons of some of their EXP from the trap triggers, and also creates safe zones. And also, if you do it at chests when they use the mini ashes, you can keep some more of your stuff. So that's pretty neat. Once again, he's middle tier. All hunters will be slammed into this. Most hunters will be slammed into this category, just because they all pretty much do the same thing, with some minor differences. And Kelly, once again, is beginner friendly. Her bug was fixed, so she doesn't output a crazy amount of unintended damage. Slip shot allows you to have sustain by dodging without expending stamina. And you also get a bleed, and you also get bleed with counter shot. So it's not bad. Weapon Master Meat Hammer, that's used for the extra balance bar. Because though your damage might not be that great, the balance bar is still useful. And once again, because you're a hunter, if you're facing off against Henrietta minions, balance bar isn't the most useful. Especially if, for example, the Henrietta goes into Knowby's quick comeback. That's before their 5 pink Fs, and I'm not too sure how many people do that, but you have the DPS because you're a hunter. And Battle Frenzy, your melee increases the longer you are in sustained combat. Once again, she's a hunter, so she's at a deficit already, but this brings her up more close to an even plane. And of course, the queen herself, the queen that I love playing as Hunter. When I play Hunter, Amanda Fisher, also middle tier. As that all these hunters, they just what they generally contribute is nothing that pushes them over the edge. Ammo for Days is something that is really, really good. And the only reason why she's in middle tier is because she's a hunter. Because when you do the hunter thing, when you get possessed, you're likely to be an alternative win condition for the team. That's the only reason why I'm not pushing hunters typically towards the top, just because when not managed right, or even when managed right, if they get picked on, they can be a hindrance of a team. Just they're the only ones that can really fuck up the team in that regard. So I have to hold them back in terms of what they can do, in terms of the tier list rather. So ammo for days, even if you have no ammo, you pop it, you get to shoot. That's good, really good. You can chain this with pistol, so you can go pop, 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 pop. You can build up accuracy count stacks, which means each consecutive hit, you get a 2% stack. You stack, 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 and then you pop ammo for days, and then that's it. It's a wrap. Whatever is in your line of sight, you keep getting those stacks. You finish off those stacks, and that's that. Weapon Master Pistol and Trusty Sidearm. You start with the pistol, and your pistol does more damage, etc. As what Weapon Masters do. She is an interesting character if you use the pistol, but the pistol can stun lock and DPS out your allies. Some people go blunderbuss, since they reduce the reload time on the blunderbuss with the Kandar patch. Other hunters are more capable of using the blunderbuss as well. Not just her, because when they had a really long reload, she can use ammo for days and not have to reload. So it took that part away from her just a little bit. But accuracy counts is the nice little ability that gives her higher scaling than at times other hunters. And once again, the only reason why she is down here is because she's a hunter, and hunters they can't be liabilities to the team just because of the DPS they have, and that's the only reason why she's down here. But yeah, I believe that they should start merging Weapon Master and start with weapon perks. They should start merging those in some way, kind of like how they did with Arthur. And of course, the next guy in the middle tier is going to be Leader Ash. Leader Ash is a good guy. Plus range damage, plus melee damage. But the scaling is a little weird, right? So we go into show up and blow up. Every 30 seconds, you do a blast. It doesn't do as much damage as Scotty's, but it does a great amount of balance bar, allowing you to trip things up, allowing you to set up units, allowing you to also stun units and set them up for or be the hunter's headshots, because you stun them a lot quicker. The head doesn't move in such an erratic way. El Jefe, your damage goes up by 15%, all damage of you and anybody in your aura, and the fear resistance up by 20%. Once again, he's not bad as the hunter's friend in a way. That's what I'm saying, like, Arthur falls off because he just benefits one type of play. Old friend, you start with the chainsaw. I think that and Weapon Mastery should be blended into one, but the last one is El Jefe Grande. Enhances your aura's effects by 100% anytime you perform a finisher or dismember an enemy. And that last part is very important, because a lot of people forget that you get a buff for dismemberment. Some people like to run the boomstick because of style points, but if you're going for practicality, that saw gun, that legendary saw gun, scales up to 210 dismemberment. It is crazy. It is, and especially because it's a fast firing weapon, even if it doesn't do much damage, you're getting a lot of dismemberment. And then when you go into stopping power for the balance bar, when they get weak, you can then do a finisher. So at times you can actually wreck El Jefe Grande by approaching them with the saw gun, pop, 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 and then doing a finisher. It also keeps you a lot more mobile. It keeps you a lot more mobile because some Henriettas, they'll be a little clean on it. And then when you're doing a finisher, they'll puke on you towards the end of your finisher. And then you can't run after your finisher. And then you get duded. But once again, he's not bad. You can also go into Massive of Influence. And it increases the aura's effect by 20%. So your base aura will go up to 18 and 25. And then when El Jefe Grande kicks up, it goes 3650. That's, I believe, those are the numbers. It goes 3650 for El Jefe Grande. And constantly triggering with Saw Gun is actually not bad. And it keeps you relatively out of harm's way in some regard. And he got a nice little indirect soft buff because, once again, also with the Kandar patch, I believe the Kandar patch, yeah, they raised the dismemberment on the chainsaw itself. So it's not bad. And middle ground, also, we have Cheryl. Cheryl is the most consistent healer. She is easy to play, easy to pick up. You set a healing field and you heal 360 health over 6 seconds. Cooldown 120. Cola Coaster, you carry more. And you start with an extra Shemps. Contact Courage, when you drink your Shemps, fear goes down by 25. And your heals heal people an additional 100 health. Cheryl is the standard support. The generic burst healer does not scale well with skill. Anything that you need to play any other character goes with Cheryl. So if you're a good player, you'll be good with Cheryl. And that's it. She's very straightforward. But of course, she is hit hard by Evil Ash. Evil Ash stops healing, and it pretty much kills most of her usefulness. All she can do is probably pepper in some balance bar and some damage. If you spec into damage, if you spec into seeing stars and hollow points, and if you're good with the headshots, then once again you can contribute. But once again, that is nothing more than what most characters can do anyway. There's nothing that really pushes her over the edge for me, because she relies on Shemps, and she does not create that as a resource. That must be pooled together, and you can pool Shemps together for any support. You can put Shemps in a pile for anybody. But of course, one of the underrated things is that Contact Courage, reducing the fear by 25, and spamming Shemps keeps the fear low. But once again, you'll be spamming Shemps, so that is one of the issues of that. Other dude in middle tier is Pablo. Pablo is not bad, but once again, he doesn't heal quite as much as Cheryl. But there is a saying that I have: if you don't need to heal as much, then is having less healing a detriment to you, right? Pablo has a gift from El Brujo Especial. You can, at the start of the match, you start fully charged, pop it off, you have a shield, you pick up the shield, or your teammate picks up the shield. Really good for warriors, and also really good for everybody else. If he plays with people that's not warriors, and if he sticks with the team, people should invest in shield fucking first. Invest in shield. Pablo will keep your shield up throughout the match, and you don't need to heal that much because he'll keep that shield topped off. You have to play different with the Pablo. Stop fucking around and fucking up the Pablo play. You have to play differently for the Pablo, or Infernal Camouflage. The Pablo runs off, collects all the pieces, and then that rush also has the benefit, the unseen benefit, of the demon not leveling up so fast, right? So when people travel and loot at the same time, the demon has more time to level up, go reach that level 6, put that point into basic possession. But Pablo says, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to run to the first piece, I'm going to drive the car, not quite make it to the second piece, walk the rest of the way. Go when Pablo is pulling the real good ninja shit. This dude is he pressures the demon into a defensive stance. And once again, if the demon says, hey, I'm gonna go to the Pablo on the car, as a Pablo player, you do need a certain amount of skill, etc., to handle yourself in these positions. You should be rushing in them. You should be either with your team, building up amulets, and so people have full shield, and then once again, he poops out shields. So your team actually doesn't need to use a shield on themselves. That's not how that works. You hold your shield for yourself. Pablo keeps your shield up, and then when things attack you, you use shield, and Pablo use shield, and you become very hard to break through, because even with, there's actually, right here, there is a specific damage reduction perk that only works when you have a shield. You get extra beefier, and if you're a warrior, you might have it. And some people don't invest in that, but that's how that works with Pablo. And I see a lot of people using shields on themselves. I'm like, if you're a warrior, if you're not missing 2 shield bars, don't use a shield on yourself. You have that last pink F as a warrior that you get 2 shields per amulet. You should only shield yourself when you're missing 2 shields to get the max benefit. Other than that, you're wasting resources. And Pablo is a person that he creates his own resource, his amulet. The cooldown could be quicker, I admit, but you need to play for the Pablo. And a lot of people don't consider things, and that's why a lot of people consider Cheryl above these healers, because Cheryl is a no-brain, you do this. The other 2 healers actually require depth, it requires strategy, it requires a little bit more awareness, it requires more advanced play. Anyway, Legacy del Brujo, you begin with an additional amulet and shamanic protection. Your shield bar will gradually recover over time until you have at least 1 full bar. I want it to go beyond that. I want it to go beyond 1 bar. That would be great. This guy is meant to run off on his own. He's going to need some of that protection. With some buffs to his perks, hopefully coming up, he'll be an amazing support. Supports don't just heal, supports can do a lot of things. And indirectly, there's a lot of unseen benefits of Pablo rushing out the pieces in the first 3 minutes of the match. The demon is like, oh my god. And once again, one of the things is you don't want the demon to level up, because once again, that's less damage for the team. The team takes. A lot of people don't think about that. When you rush the pieces, the demon has less energy, the demon's units do less damage to you and the book, so it increases your chances of winning. A lot of people don't think in terms of that. They just think, I want to heal, I'm like, yo, there's other ways to help. Like for example, a lot of people said Ed was garbage until they saw, hey, you know what, indirectly Ed's collector stuff is really good because it's good for the economy. I'm like, yeah. So that's that is one of those things. Now we are going into top mid into high tier. Top mid is going to be Army of Darkness Ash. Army of Darkness Ash, you can build tanky, you can build damage, you can build whatever you want. Wiseman's Potion, damage increase, damage reduction, health restored, fear reduction, and 1 active. Pretty good. Shield Blast. Oh my god, these two. Even if you have no shield, you do a finisher, you get 40. You lose that 40, you blow up. Constantly. All the time. That constant wave puts them in the state of always blowing up, always doing AoE damage, and it gets really annoying for the demon, really good for book defense. Weapon Master Chainsaw, you swing a lot faster, you do more damage, etc., allowing you to do heavy attacks, allowing you to increase your damage output because you're not relying on light attacks. And you can go Weapon Master light-handed, going into stunning strikes. You can also go into dismemberment as well to reduce the damage to your team. But once again, stuns also reduce the damage to your team because the guy is not moving. But naturally, once again, against Henriettas and skeletons, dismemberment is possibly a little bit more useful, because once again, Henrietta has stun support, and getting rid of those arms, those pole arms and whatnot, especially with the Flautist up, is really big for decreasing the incoming damage to your team. Great character. Now we are going into the higher tiers. On the cusp of higher tier is Hunter Ash. Hunter Ash is a hunter obviously. ED2 Ash. So he has the DPS. He has the Exorcist ability. Use it. You banish the demon from a basic unit or a survivor, saving time and money. Or if it's not on a basic or a basic unit that's possessed or a survivor that's possessed, they lose 20% energy. Good for book defense. Good for a lot of shit. Just overall good tool. The cooldown is 90 seconds. It's down from I believe 60 seconds. It had to be. It was way too oppressive. If you go into quicker cooldown, if you go into quicker cooldown before, it would be a 54-second cooldown, and that means you can use it twice on the book. You have an insta kill twice on the book, along with your DPS, and there's absolutely no way the demon is winning. Absolutely no way the demon is winning at the book stage. He was pretty much an automatic win, and they had to slow it down. Treasure Hunter, you see crates from close range. That's not bad. I'm the guy with the double barrel and Weapon Master double barrel. You spam the double barrel, and you do more damage with it. The double barrel is one of the hardest hitting weapons in the game. Naturally, long shot extends it, so you don't have to be so close. So that means you're more protected from melee units. You can go surgical strike. Surgical strike will reduce the spread. So if you're going for headshots, more pellets, because shotgun class weapons have pellets. And only the pellets that hit the head gets the boost. But if you narrow the spread and they all hit the head, then they're dead. Wow, that rhymes, right? If you narrow the spread and they all hit the head, they're dead. Yeah. Not that. You can go, once again, tanky. Some people build some tank into Hunter just so they're not picked on as much. But Hunter Ash has the DPS, has the banishment. So he can afford to go into damage. He's just a lot safer as a character. Now, the characters that are definitely higher tier for me, Henry the motherfucking Red. Being able to get those clutch revives and just disrespect the demon to his face, or its face, or their face, whatever the fuck you want to call him, is clutch. His other perks are not so good, and they're nerfing him slowly, and that's not bad. But if you're going to nerf stuff, just be consistent with it. Maybe nerf how long his active lasts, and buff everything back up. That would work. Like if you want him to be a true tank and not be this disrupting monster, then lower his active ability. Unstoppable. You do not take damage for this duration. However, it needs to be noted that you do take damage from the fog. I don't know if that's patched, but you do take damage from the fog. But you don't take damage from demon dealings. You don't. That means that if they're over a body, you can just pop your ability and pick them up. You don't get knocked back. There are certain disrupts, whether it be possession, demon dash, boss grab, telekinetic shock, or fart gas. Those will absolutely disrupt you. Everything else you're free to run through. This allows him to get clutch plays, allows him to be absolutely disrespectful, and get some saves. There's some really cheeky things the demon can do, and really cheeky things Henry can do. The demon can down someone at the Dark Ones by possessing them for a long time and running them there, or just running them there, especially hunters who have the lowest HP, and Henry can actually just walk up to them and pick them up. This guy is just absolute unit. Shields up. You start the match with additional shield bar. That needs to be 2 because warriors get 2 shields per amulet. 5 is a weird odd number. Give this man 6 shields. Why not? Especially with rebound. Rebound used to rebound health and shield. Now it is just shield. Increase rebound or increase the amount of shields you have. Battle hardened. Health and shield bar length increase by 10%. Increase that. You'll make that 25 or 30%. Let's go. Let's fucking make him tank. Lower it to 5 seconds and buff his other. Make him tank. Damn it. But his ability to pull teams back from the brink of death puts him in S tier. There's so many games where we contested a point because I literally kept reviving people at the altar that was really close to the. This guy is just amazing, and when you see what this guy can do, a lot of demons specifically hate Henry because he snatches wins, he snatches loss from the jaws of death. defeats. Next up is Evil Dead 1 Ash. Debated. I believe a lot of people don't play Evil Dead 1 Ash well. He is the hardest character to use in this game. You have to multitask like no one's ever multitasked before. Reassuring Presence. It does not require a Shemps, does not cost a Shemps. It's a free fear reduction by 50, cooldown is 60 seconds. Free. Once again, free. It does not cost resource like Cheryl. Alternative healing, 20% of the damage that you do is restored as health if it's from a heavy attack. Meat Cleaver, baby. Go Meat Cleaver, get that motherfucker to epic or legendary. Start seeing some shit. Mark target damage. Headshot. They're marked for 20% more damage for the next 5 seconds. And there's a refreshing timer each time you hit someone in the head. And mark target healing. People heal themselves for 10% of the damage that they do. Evil Dead 1 Ash requires a lot. He requires knowing when to melee, knowing when to shoot. And of course, it goes back to my saying. Do I need 8 Shemps if I can melt the Evil Ash? If I can melt the possessed unit? If we can get Henrietta off the book that much faster? That book phase is something that cannot be ignored. A lot of people do well and die and lose at the book phase. Henrietta's a problem because she cannot be stunned. She does massive damage to the book. Evil Ash cannot be stunned if they have, once again, that 5th pink F in there. And if the flautist is up, if someone leaves to take care of the flautist, the DPS is down. The DPS is down. And this allows Evil Ash to have a nice, unique niche of headshotting the boss. And then if he wants to look for the flautist, he can. And he reduces the effect of the flautist. The flautist reduces damage, and he mitigates that. And that allows him to have some form of presence even when he's leaving, even when he's backtracking to the flautist, if people want to choose that route. Because his damage lingers. That's a lingering thing. So he can go and possibly pop the flautist, or once again, he can stay there and lay an assault on Evil Ash. Evil Ash also has anti-heal, so if you melt him from afar, and Evil Ash is the slowest of the bosses, that puts you at an advantage, because you're less likely to be picked on by Evil Ash. Alternative healing, once again, sprinkling heals throughout and requiring less heals because things are dying faster, evens out. 6 Shemps is enough. Once again, if people need to heal less, that's always a good thing. Also for camping bodies, some people, once they get it down, for example, an Evil Ash, because they'll tend to pick on somebody because they can't heal, right? You can't heal, and so it's useless to use your Shemps against them anyway. But if you get some of these threats out the way a lot sooner, then what do you need to heal for? But also you're able to get the pickup. So if Evil Ash is out the way, can no longer camp. The demon will oftentimes demon dash, and if someone is pushed over the threshold, there will be a possession, and that possession will also guard the body. ED1 Ash actually can activate his power right after possession to rob the demon of that, so the demon will have to summon. The demon has to summon and then go through the whole possession animation, and that will give people time for a pickup. There's a lot of unseen benefits from Evil Dead 1 Ash, and once again, skeletons reduce damage, and he cuts that off. He helps mitigate the damage reduction that flautists give to bones. Very intense character. I haven't seen many people play him well, and I understand why. You have to be good with different guns. You can't just headshot things with a shotgun, because if your hunter's using long gun, you can't just spam long gun. It's crazy. Like it requires someone to be actually mechanically good at the game, and so he's not someone to just slap on any team just because every player cannot play him. I've spent many account levels learning to play this guy, and I still have to keep going, and I think I do relatively well with him, but he is just that intense of a character. Last but not least, Annie's okay. We asked Annie if she's okay. I think Annie is okay. Annie Annie has what's important. Annie has the balance bar stuns. Annie has, so that means that people take less damage because they keep getting stunned. More setup for headshots because they get stunned. More gun damage. Guns have the highest DPS in the game. And guns are also safer because you're not trading blows. It might be boring to some people. There's some people say it's boring, but it is the safer method because you're less likely to heal because you're using guns, because you're outranging them. You're outranging the damage. You don't need to heal. Now maybe that will change, but it still wouldn't necessarily change if Plaguebringer is a more of a ranged demon. That would be a nice change, but that's sure as hell a lot better than walking up and taking a lot of damage. Also, the thing with range is that you also depossess things faster because people will, especially with hunters or warriors, people will often actually shoot to be out of a certain range or to lock them. And when you do more damage with guns, you depossess things faster. Once again, a lot of these are hidden benefits that's only revealed to those who are practically observant. You'll see that see these changes, and she's capable of scaling up to just about as much damage as a hunter without having the possession fear and wiping out your team. She does amazing. I can only gloat about her. She's the queen and she's the goddess, and she has descended from the heavens to give us her presence as a gift. And we can smell her hair lovingly, and she will probably slap the shit out of us for it. 25% extra balance bar to basics, 25 balance bar to elites, 100% more balance bar to bosses. That is a big one. That is crazy. If you're playing optimally, especially, and rushing the demon, they will not have that 5th pink F in boss. Especially, once again, if you're running fast forward. Oh my god. Oh, that is a book saver. That is a book saver. There's so many times where, dude, the demon just can't win. The demon has to tunnel out the Annie, because they can't win on book unless the Annie is gone. That haymaker and damage buff is just way too oppressive for demon. Way too oppressive. Especially, once again, if you're capable of landing those headshots. People don't understand the multiplier, especially on early bosses. Right? A headshot does 100% more balance bar damage. So let's say you're rocking a 30 balance bar revolver. You hit that headshot, that's 60. You hit that again with Slugger on the boss, that's a 90 balance bar. And once again, melee weapons, they leave you in harm's way to trade, so you need heals. Also, heavy attacks are much slower. Headshots are quick, they're efficient. So even if, for example, you're using a sledge, it does 80 for each swing. If you do 3 quick shots, pop, 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 that will actually outbalance bar 2 heavies. So it gets really crazy. And once again, you don't really need the healing. So Annie, I think this game, forgive me, Annie. Annie is up there. Annie is high tier. And that is it for the tier list team. I know there'll be some disagreements, especially with Annie and Evil Dead 1 Ash. But the issue is a lot of people, once again, sometimes don't play these characters well. I judge these characters based off of what they bring to the team when played to their potential. I don't go by based off if people play this character not well, then this character sucks. I always go by the potential. I was one of the early people to catch Ed. I'm like, yo, Ed is not garbage. I was one of the early people to catch Henry the Red when everyone would talk about AOD. I was one of the early people to talk about Annie. Everyone said Annie was not bad because I see the hidden value in these characters. Because certain things do not pop up on the scoreboard. Same thing for if some of you guys play Dead by Daylight. Nobody would say Blightener sucks. I don't think so. But once again, there are people who are bad at those characters. So I don't judge characters based off of how people play them. I judge them based off of how effective they are in the outcome of a match. And Evil Dead 1 Ash consistently scales in the outcome of the match. When people are ignoring survivors and going for book, Cheryl does not help anybody. Her heals are for naught because any damage to survivors are collateral. They're just going for book. You need more damage on that book. You need to mitigate also for the flautist. The flautist reduces damage, and Henrietta kills stuns, so you need to DPS them out. And even if you built right, that resistance that they have can actually overcome the team if not aided. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, share, subscribe, etc. if you learned something or if you just like this kind of stuff. Y'all be safe and have a good one.